Hi, I'm Sam Vokes at Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. No game to look forward to this coming Saturday, of course, because of the international break. Big credit to TJ DeBar and also Joe Lowe, who played against each other in an international for Wales and also Gibraltar, respectively, of course. I say respectively, I might have got those two the wrong way around. Anyway, fantastic achievement for them and a great representation for the club as well. Plenty to get through in this next hour, though. We'll look back at that fantastic victory against Stevenage in the EFL Trophy, which gets us through to the next stage of the competition with a group game to spare. Perhaps you're one of the 96 that went to the Lamex on Tuesday night. If you didn't go, and perhaps listen to the commentary with Phil and Brian, our match commentator and head of audio at the club, and other roles as well. Phil will be joining us very, very soon. We'll hear from the manager, Matt Bloomfield, with his reaction after that game as well, and what's in store for the players in the coming days till we next see them in action again. We'll get the thoughts of Killian Phillips as well, who Phil also spoke to after that game. It's a special time for Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association. We'll hear from their Vice Chairman JDT as he prepares, and the rest of the committee and those involved as well, in their annual dinner, which is happening next month. We'll get his thoughts on some of the ex-players that we've spoken to in the past weeks as well. Also a busy time for Wycombe Wanderers Foundation. You might have seen on social media the 11th of November that game has been dedicated to the foundation. We'll hear from Mark as well, who's the, as I say, Chief Executive of the foundation. We'll continue our following of Wycombe Wanderers women. Emily McCartney will join us. She's a defender. She's only 18. She's progressed rapidly from the under-18s to the first team and is pretty well established now in this season. Lots more to bring you as well. We might even have time for a notice board section if we can fit it in. But no, plenty to get through. Hope you'll enjoy what's to come in the coming hour or so. And we kick off with a word from Phil, still riding high on that fantastic 1-0 victory against Stevenage in the EFL Trophy on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's a really good game. First and foremost, first time out of the group stage since 2016. So that's a really good achievement and a game to spare. But more importantly, keeps the momentum going. You know, different competition, but a win's a win, and it keeps a positive feel about the group, and also the players who didn't necessarily start in the league games of late. It's given them some minutes as well to get in front of the manager and the fans, and stake a claim for when the league game starts again a week on Saturday.
There seem to be so many benefits, don't there? We spoke on the night, obviously, about how the youngsters can really impress, but also, as you say, there are experienced members of the team as well who can really play a part in, obviously, the development of the youngsters as well.
Yeah, and when you're in a winning team and around a winning team, you want to be in it. So you've got to be catching the manager's eye as well in all competitions as well as training. And as we've often said, you can't replicate the competitive spirit of a match at the training ground. So it's a really good opportunity for players, both new and old, to catch the eye and stake a claim. And yeah, I think it's a much maligned tournament. The fans have often said they don't agree with it, which is their prerogative. That's fine. And from the under-21s teams from the Premier League involvement, that's what's really caused it. It doesn't have a sponsor this year, etc. But the prize money comes from the Premier League, and the prize money is pretty significant as well. And Wycombe, like I said earlier, with the game to spare in the final 32, and maybe some of the 96 fans that were at the Lamex on Tuesday night may be dreaming of going to Wembley at some point in the season as well. You never know.
And there were some names to pick out that supporters perhaps might not be so familiar with, like Declan, or obviously there's a new goalkeeper as well who's on show, and some of the new signings, but also people like Jasper Patton as well, who great to see him developing as well.
Yeah, it's been a really good competition for Jasper, and it was interesting to hear Matt Bloomfield speaking afterwards as well, and saying how patient and resilient Jasper's had to be for his chance. He's got a great attitude. He's brilliant around the training ground, during training, also as a personality. And yeah, he's had to be patient, but when his chance came, it came in the EFL Trophy against Crystal Palace under-21s. He gave a really good account of himself that game, and then circumstances arose that he then got the nod in the league, and he's played 3 league games back to back, sandwiched with these 2 games in the EFL Trophy. So that's 5 starts in a row from Jasper, and it's been a great learning experience for him. and it's been equally a good opportunity for the fans and the staff to learn more about Jasper as well. And he's grabbed the opportunity with both hands. Declan Skura and Franco Ravazzoli, they've played 2 games in this competition, haven't let a goal in yet. So from a defensive point of view, that's what you want. Franco, it's great for him because it keeps him sharp in case he's ever needed on a match day in the league. He'll be on the bench, understudy for Max and hopefully pushing Max as well. And with Declan, a lot of high hopes around this place for Declan. He came in from Kingstonian, picked up an injury, and he's been building himself up physically, sort of very similar to the timeline that Chris Farino had with us. People were very excited about the potential of Declan Skura, and after last night, you can see why. But so things are looking up with the youngsters especially, and it was interesting to get the view of Matt Bloomfield after the final whistle.
We knew it was going to be a really difficult game tonight. Steve's accumulated a real good squad, a competitive squad, so we knew there was going to be changes from their team on Saturday, but still you've got some real good calibre of players to come in, so I think they've recruited really well over the summer, so really pleased to win the 2 games and get through. We've got a competitive squad ourselves, and so it was an opportunity tonight to give plenty of minutes around and also give some experience to a couple of the younger members of the squad. So all in all, a very pleasing night.
Great opportunities for the younger players, but over 2,000 appearances on the pitch at kick-off as well.
Yeah, and that's what we said before the game. Whilst there was an opportunity to see Deco in another competitive game, and it was a couple of changes from Saturday, but we had a lot of class in our team. We had a lot of experience, a lot of quality. Last Tuesday at Portsmouth, Keezy, GMAC, Vokes, who was in that game, and obviously they were rested on Saturday, but come in again tonight, and it's really important that the boys, they really showed a hunger and desire to want to come and play tonight, which I'm really pleased about. The desire of the group, the competition for places and the shirts. Having Keezy alongside Deco is invaluable, helping him, coaching through the game. You saw on the pitch he's actually coaching while he's out there. So lots of pleasing elements.
Is that an underlining of the progression that Wycombe Wanderers have made here in terms of its squad and its depth?
Possibly. I mean, we're carrying quite a few injuries at the moment, and obviously, 3 of the boys are away on international duty, so things are a little bit. The squad's thin at the moment, so we have to make sure we protect players as much as we possibly can and spread out the minutes. But we're really pleased with the competitive nature of the group. Obviously we know that we had a disjointed pre-season, but I feel like people are getting up to speed now, and you're showing that sharpness. Another goal for Vokesy tonight. We know the quality that he brings, but we want to have that competition for places, because off the back of it everyone improves.
We talked about winning mentality at the start of the season. He must be pleased, no matter what the competition, you can come to a tough ground like this against a tough side and get that 1-0.
Yeah, I think obviously we talk a lot about performance, and we focus a lot on our performance and the way we go about our business, but in a game, in the sport and the industry we're in, winning breeds belief, winning breeds confidence, winning breeds winning. So we have to be pleased every time we go on a pitch and win a game of football. And like you say, it's nice to put a little bit of a run together. So for me, it's about being pleased with that, but also, I'm going to be very boring. I'm just desperate for more, really hungry for more. We have a real desire about us to try and get better. We'll watch this back. We're in again tomorrow morning to analyse and go through it. We have to retain that hunger and desire. I know that I need to start switching off a bit more, but at the moment it's just about wanting more and wanting better, and the boys are sharing in that. And at the moment, we're on a nice little run, but we have to get a bit of rest this weekend, recuperate, try and enjoy some time with our families, because when we come back next week, we've got a really good week to look forward to. We've also been organising some behind the scenes, behind closed doors games, because one thing that I know is that when you play in that League One fixture, you've got to be at it, and you've got to be fit, and you've got to be firing. So these games are valuable for the sharpness of players who maybe aren't getting enough minutes that they feel they deserve in the league minutes. So it's about putting all those things in the pot and making sure we want to go to AFC Wimbledon on that final game and win again, because like we say, it's great experience for some of the younger lads, and it's perfect to keep topping up the minutes for everyone else.
Is Jasper Pattenden the perfect example of that? He got the 90 against Crystal Palace under 21s. The opportunity came, and tonight was his 5th start in a row.
Yeah, and the week after that, we arranged a behind closed doors friendly as well, where we started playing 60-minute games just to get the boys up to speed of match days. And Jasper played in that. I must say, I said to Jasper in training yesterday, if there's ever a story of resilience and character, then his is exactly it, because he's had a number of right wing backs in front of him. He's had a number of opportunities where he's been disappointed. He's had a number of times where he's had to keep fighting and scrapping, and and that's the characters and the resilience you want within your group, you know, because he's getting his rewards at the moment. There's obviously still plenty for him to improve on, and he has to keep his feet on the ground. But if there's ever a story of resilience and character, then Jasper's is just that, and I'm very, very pleased for him.
Really great to hear that the manager speaking so positively, as he always does. But it does feel like that, the team are on a real good run. Things are starting to click, and as Brian mentioned on the night in the commentary, sometimes there's a concern that perhaps momentum could be interrupted by this international break.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's important that you go into it on a high, so you can sort of keep that spirit going. The players will use the time for training, obviously. So, and it's a big run of games coming up now. Peterborough, Oxford United, Bolton in between those as well, and then Cambridge back at home. So it's a really big run of games, as they all are, because we've now seen how tight League One is. And really, really should mention as well, Matt Bloomfield being shortlisted for Manager of the Month for League One, which will be announced first thing on Friday morning. So, great company that he's in that list as well. But again, it shows you that the run of form that Wycombe Wanderers have been on, for him to be included on that list. And it's a great feather in his cap, just for the nomination, I think.
No, absolutely. A really great achievement, and also really nice for the club to have, players who have been called up as well for international duty, the likes of TJ and Jolo as well.
Yeah, fantastic, really. Just goes to show again the direction this club's moving in, to have these players called up. And hopefully they come back safe and sound, in good form, in good nick, and ready to hit the ground running back in the league.
Really interesting, isn't it, to have this break in the fixtures? But as you say, October's quite such a busy month, and not many games at Adams Park either.
Yeah, that's a bit of a blow, to be honest. The way the international breaks have fallen, it meant that Wycombe Wanderers have lost 2 Saturday home games, and it's a huge blow for the fans. Obviously, they buy their season tickets or they make arrangements and plan long term, and there'll be no game this Saturday at Adams Park, and it'll be on a Tuesday night, which obviously may not be quite as convenient for people when they were making those plans at the start of the season. But it also means that we've had to do a lot of travel as well, and those journeys can be long, but not when you're winning. It makes it a lot easier.
It does feel like as well, looking at the results of late, that there's a couple of, the game against Portsmouth, for example, but it feels like there's a real kind of good, positive run and vibe amongst the team. Yeah,
exactly that. I think Matt Bloomfield said at the start of the season he wants to create a winning mentality, and and it's about momentum sport, isn't it? And if you can get that winning mentality and that momentum going your way, then the belief comes with that, and then hopefully a really good long run of results can come to the fore, especially against some tricky opponents in the next few weeks.
It really feels like, as we touched on earlier, things are starting to click. As you say, with the manager being recognised and what a successful kind of period that the club is in, it must give everyone a lift, especially at the training ground. And as you say, for those that perhaps haven't had the pre-season they'd have hoped, that they're still doing so well.
Exactly that, yeah. But it shouldn't really be that much of a surprise to people, because we said at the start of the season and in pre-season that the large number of turnovers of players, that coupled with the change of management at the back end of last season, a lot of change for a club that has been incredibly stable in football terms in the last 10.5 years. So it was always going to take a little time to settle down, and I think it settled down very quickly indeed. We're at the stage of the season where the table is relevant after the amount of games that have been played, and where Wycombe are. They're outside the playoffs by 1 point. They've got a game in hand on the majority of the teams above them, so it's looking good. And it's no surprise really that the young loanees at Fleetwood, Freddie Potts, Killian, Phillips, Dale Taylor, really key to the performance. And it would have taken them a bit of time to settle into their new surroundings, etc., and learn the ropes. And you can absolutely see that they're doing that. And it's no surprise that the results are coming now as well.
And really pleasing, I guess, but not perhaps surprising, is how well everyone settled, considering the sort of culture that's at the club.
Yeah, exactly. It was a strong culture that these players were coming into, so it was always going to be the case that they were going to take the lead from that, and hopefully their parent clubs will see the benefit of that as well when they go back at the end of the season. Then they'll see what a great environment it is at Wycombe Wanderers for players to learn, develop and progress. Not just on the pitch but off the pitch as well. Wycombe Wanderers have always put a huge amount of faith into what a player is like in terms of their attitude and their work rate and their personality, etc. And it's been really fascinating to see these youngsters be embraced into the environment here at Wycombe.
We appreciate your time and wish you a very happy international break yourself.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it.
Good news, we'll hear more from Phil on next week's show. You can hear more from Matt Bloomfield at that chat on Wanderers TV, where you can also hear an extended version of his chat with Killian Phillips after he caught up with Phil after the game on Tuesday night as well.
Lots of changes from both sides tonight, but a really competitive game and incredibly tight at times.
Yeah, fair play to Stevenage. It was a decent game. It was in fairness, EFL trophy games can probably be a little bit like friendlies, but I think in fairness today they gave us a good game, so credit to Stevenage and credit to the boys as well for because it's tough going from Saturday, Tuesday again, so fair play to the boys as well.
From a personal point of view though, 90 minutes in the tank and building on a really good performance on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm delighted. This is my first 90 minutes since April, so we've missed all the pre-season with an injury, with a concussion, so it's more relief than anything, because I need to just keep building on my performances, but I'm delighted at my first assist as well, so now I'm delighted that I can help the boys out, yeah.
I was about to say, talk us through the goal, Vokesy with a great header, but you put it on a plate for him.
I think he made it a better cross than it was, to be fair to him. Now, in fairness, Vokes is unbelievable. You stick it in there, you have a probably higher chance than with him in the box than anyone else in the league. So that's what I think we can do more is whip balls into him, because he's just unbelievable in the yard, and credit to him, it was a great header.
Winning is a mentality. We won Saturday, we've won here tonight, albeit in a different competition. How important was it going into this international break to have those 2 wins?
Yeah, that's what we just need to keep doing. That's what we're building a culture here, and we want to build a winning culture, and I think that's what we're starting to do now. We're starting to come together. Obviously, like a lot of the boys came in late in the window and stuff like that. So now I'm delighted, but nothing better than winning. So I'm delighted, yeah.
And we've got another game to go in the group stage yet. Knowing that we've already through, does that give a bit more of a relaxed vibe into the game, or is it all out for the win for that one too?
Well, I'm sure the gaffer will be honest, and if I'm playing in it, there's nothing I love more than winning there. So I'm sure that if I'm playing in it, then I'm gonna work me socks off and give me 110%, yeah.
And will he be on the stereo back at Marlow Road this week? We've heard some interesting tunes coming up the stairs.
Me, just like me this mix, I miss home, so I'm home tomorrow. So I'm sure they'll get a few more tunes off a few of the boys back home, so I'm delighted, yeah.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound, Tuesday evenings from 7.
Hello, Phil here from Wycombe Wanderers, host of Ringing the Blues, which you can listen to right here on Wycombe Sound every Tuesday from 7 till 8. We'll have all the action from the game at the weekend, plus a whole host of players and guests associated with the club, plus our weekly feature Till Death Us Do Part, where Wycombe fans remember their favourite memories. Only on Wycombe Sound, 7 till 8.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show, Thursdays from 7.
106.6 FM, Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll catch up with Chief Executive of the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation, Mark Gaitskell. Also been speaking this week to Emily McCartney, who is a now established member of the Wycombe Wanderers Women First Team after working her way up from the under-18s, only 18 herself. All that and more to come. But first, our usual feature with Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, busy preparing for their annual dinner, which is next month at Adams Park, celebrating 30 years of the club in the Football League. And I've been speaking to JDT, John Taylor, who's the Vice Chairman of the organisation. And first we'll get his reflections on some of those who we've spoken to in the past few weeks of this series of the Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Well, it's strange that, Colin, because every week I think, who the heck are we going to have on? Might they be a bit dull or not have too great of memories anymore? And suddenly you chat to them and all these different things come up, and hopefully we point you towards those. And there have been so many. I mean, even a couple of weeks ago, Gary Thompson in the car park of some pub, with the lorry revving up behind him. I mean, even that was a slightly different one, wasn't it?
There has been no news of what happened to the lorry, but...
No, well, knowing Gary Thompson, he would have charged his way through it. But it was lovely to hear him. And the thing about this is that fans soon forget a player because the new ones come on. and then suddenly they're reminded, like, for instance, this week, when Joe Lowe won his Welsh international cap, and people were saying, well, I wonder who the first one was. And the first Wycombe international was Mark Rogers, who played for Canada. And Mark Rogers actually tweeted and did bits saying, oh, well done to Joe Lowe, you know, it's great that Wycombe, it was a fantastic thing when I won an international cap. Now you've got two players actually facing each other from the same club, and that same club is Wycombe Wanderers.
And it really brings people close together, doesn't it? It doesn't matter how far geographically they are, whether, we've spoken to Steve Guppy and Andy Kerr, who are, the other side of the Atlantic, or, whether it's an ex-player who still lives in Downley, or, as you say, in Gary Thompson's case, up in Kendal.
Well, the thing is that, Andy Kerr, for instance, we've kind of resurrected, if you like, his interest in the football club because, he left the country, he went off to Indonesia for years, now in British Columbia, and the last time I spoke to him a few weeks ago, is trying desperately to get here for our annual dinner, which is on November the 24th. And as a fail-safe, I know Phil Catchpole has already done an interview with him, which we're going to play, I think, in this show over the next couple of weeks. But we're hoping that he will also be live at the dinner, and coming all the way from Vancouver Island for a club that he played for over 30 years ago. I mean, that's just fantastic, isn't it?
And this does lead us quite nicely onto plans for the dinner. How are things going with that?
Well, as always, I get to August and I don't really have an inkling about what we're going to do. And I know I go to the meetings and they say, well, what have you got planned? And I'm kind of thinking on my feet. This time, the 30-year anniversary was pretty obvious. A lot of the players, I think, feel a little bit disappointed that the club itself didn't recognise that in any particular way. But as I said to them, we are doing exactly that. And the great news is that we're going to have over 250 people there remembering what happened in 1993, which of course was the great double-winning side under Martin O'Neill. And they won the trophy for the second time in 3 years. And more importantly, they got promotion to the Football League. And that has changed the fortunes of the club unbelievably. I mean, Wycombe Wanderers was always a fantastic amateur club, one of the top ones in the country. But to be honest, you have to be in the Football League these days to make any impact whatsoever. And if you think back to the sides that they used to play, and people who are big rivals, Slough Town, Hitchin, Dulwich Hamlet, where are they today? Wycombe are in the Football League and have been now for 30 years. They got to the Championship, and to be fair, they were unlucky. I'm still remembering the robbed goal against Derby County and the dubious decision against Middlesbrough, which would have kept them in the Championship. And the second year inside the Championship is when you start making the money. And, but even so, to be now ninth, I think it is, or seventh in the Football League, League One, is fantastic. But tribute to those boys from 1993 who, under Martin, achieved that first step.
I think what's been really interesting as well, we've been fortunate to speak to, already so far in this series of the show, a number of those members of that squad, but also the manager as well. And talking to some, it doesn't feel like that long ago. Yet speaking to others, it seems like almost a lifetime.
Well, it's strange because we talk now, and I talk regularly to most of those players, and their memories of it are as clear as daylight. I mean, they remember tiny little things that happened, and we've got an interview, as I say, coming up with Scotty in this programme in a couple of weeks' time, and he remembers just really, really kind of odd things. And I think this is going to be of great interest, to fans who see what happens on the field. But I mean, 30 years ago, and I agree with you. It was only yesterday, really, wasn't it? But I was lucky enough, because I was working in TV at the time, to actually be asked to video, the occasion and the whole trip to Wembley. And I pulled in a lot of favours from a lot of people, and we went into the dressing room, and I treated it just like I would do a programme for the BBC or for ITV. But looking at those shots now, and me doing some of the interviews and Hutch doing some of the interviews, I'm thinking, I can't remember those. And then suddenly it all starts flooding back. Or I'll think, what a stupid question that person asked, and I was the stupid person. It's that kind of thing. But I mean, that trip to Wembley, we went to I think it was Sopwell House, where the England team used to stay before internationals, and we were there for a couple of days before the match at Wembley, and as I say, I treated it just like I would be doing a cup final preview for a big TV company. And looking back now and, seeing Scotty with short hair and a bit slimmer, and some of these guys, and still seeing them today. And as I say, the stories that they had then, that they still remember today. I mean, this dinner that we've got on the 24th, which I will plug again, I have to tell you that, we have already got more people signed up for that than we had attended last year or the one pre-COVID, which is absolutely fantastic. Now that, I think, is a credit to the fact that Martin O'Neill is coming, that the major members of the 90s squad will be there, but also we will have players from the 50s onwards. And I mean, that is quite incredible. I had a letter a couple of days ago from the PFA saying, we think a few clubs in the country have ex-players associations. Could you tell us if the same applies at Wycombe? And I wrote back a bit of a snorty letter, really, saying, we believe we are the largest ex-players association in the country. And we're talking about an association that does things with ex-players on a regular basis, as you know from Vince and John Bignell and others you've spoken to. We have a quiz, we have a bowls tournament, we have a golf tournament, we have the annual dinner. We do all the things around the ground on a Saturday. Keith Samuels and Vince organise with John Bignell the tours around the ground that happen in midweek and on Saturday mornings. These are things that we do on a regular basis, that as an ex-players association. And there, I don't think, the big clubs have ambassadors in their lounges, the Gary Mabbotts at Spurs, David O'Leary at Arsenal, people like that, but they don't, I think, cater for large numbers of ex-players. And we welcome back ex-players. We have 12 in the box for every single home game. And it's something we've driven from 2008 we began talking about it. 2009 we actually started. And it's gone on to great things. And this dinner will have players, as I said, from the 50s. We're going to have players from the 70s squads, the ones who played against Jack Charlton's team under Brian Lee. We're going to have people, obviously, from the 90s and from the 00s. So the whole area of, if you like, fan interest, doesn't matter whether you're in your 20s or in your 80s, there are going to be people there who will be hopefully of interest, and they will be sitting next to you. You'll be able to chat to them. You'll be able to talk to them and ask them, do you remember that goal you missed against Corinthian Casuals in the semi-final of the Amateur Cup in 1957? God blimey. Or, remember the goalkeeper who dislocated his shoulder? There are all sorts of things like that. And I just think, from Wycombe Wanderers' point of view, that is fantastic.
And the fundraising obviously is a big part of what the Ex-Players Association is about as well, whether it's, buying things for the club or medical equipment.
Absolutely right, and this is one of the things that drives us. I mean, we've raised now over 50k over the years for various charities. We've returned this year to one which is very relevant, which is Prostate Cancer UK. As you know, Matt Cecil's dad, Alan Cecil, reported that he'd got it and was being treated. Alan Parry, who, as you know, was a former director and TV commentator, worked with him for years. He has been affected by it. And yesterday, a great friend of mine, Steve Ryder, who I work with at both BBC and ITV, announced that he was having to have an operation this weekend with that very disease. I sent him a little note, and he came back and because I said it's going to be our charity again this year, and that's money we're going to raise at the dinner. And he said, look, if you want me to do anything there or at any time, I'm more than happy to do it. And of course, we've got Dear Bill. So you're absolutely right, Colin. That is something that we are aware of, and we want to make more people aware of, and raise funds in the meantime. It won't be like the wonderful marathon from Wembley Stadium to here, which was absolutely unbelievable, and £250,000 raised. But we're doing our little bit.
So how can fans find out more about the dinner and perhaps get along?
Well, they can message me. We have our Facebook page, Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association. On that, you can message any of us, including myself. That's one way. They can obviously phone me up. They can get me on normal Facebook or normal messaging, or the club will give them any numbers that if they want to talk to anybody in particular. And remember that this isn't a one-man band. Alan Hutchinson, John Bignell, John Maskell, Vince Faulkner, Keith Samuels, all of these very, very heavily involved, and several other newcomers now on the committee as well.
Well, after being lucky enough to attend last year, I can certainly verify the fact that it's a fantastic event, and I definitely recommend it.
Great. Well, I hope you will enjoy it again this year. Everyone is different. As I said, we look at a different event each year. That's our theme. But we do give people time to break up and chat to others around the room. And this year, amongst our guests, we've invited Matt Bloomfield and Richard Thomas, and they've agreed, subject to all the normal things that happen to football managers, that they will be there as well. And we'll be interviewing them to talk about the present as well as the past.
And once again, if anyone does need any assistance with finishing their desserts, I'm also happy to provide that service, as I did last year.
Good man.
Brilliant speech. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much, Colin, and we look forward to seeing you in a few weeks' time.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Final part of this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. If you've just tuned in, you've missed so much. We've heard from Phil, from Matt Bloomfield, the Wanderers manager, JDT, John Taylor, the Vice Chairman of Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, looking ahead to their annual dinner. Still to come, we'll hear from Emily McCartney, who's a defender for Wycombe Wanderers Women. They've had a really good start to the season as well. If you have just tuned in now, though, there is a podcast version of the show available, so you can catch up. It's usually available from, tomorrow, if you're listening on the podcast. the other day, and you can get all your Wycombe Wanderers news that way. But first, the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation, the charity arm of the football club, they've had a very busy time, and Mark Gaitskell, who's their chief executive, can tell us more.
Every time of year is busy for the foundation. We are literally 365 days a year with sort of new staff, new projects kind of coming all of the time. So I know that you'd had Carl on to talk about, I think, our street soccer programme, which is another new addition to the portfolio, if you like, and great to be able to support another community group. So, we're trying to help people who are either homeless or at risk of homelessness. So a really worthy cause, and it's a great partnership with another charity called Street Soccer, who are nationwide and link up with lots and lots of professional clubs. So we're really happy to be finally on that list and rolling with the programme. It was actually on in the room I'm sat in right now about 30 minutes ago.
Fantastic. And also, people get excited, don't they, when the football team make new signings? But I know you made a few new signings yourself to strengthen your team.
Yeah, I mean we've made signings across the board actually. So I've got some new trustees. I've been delighted to secure the former mayor of Wycombe, Arif Hussain, as our new chair of the board. So he sure enough put down the medals of mayorship and came across to be chair for the foundation. So he's a great signing for us. Obviously got fantastic community connections, and bottom line is just another great person. He's got sort of great values, and I think he can be a really great addition for us and help us kind of keep pushing with the almost spreading the word of the foundation in terms of our community presence. So he signed up. We secured Martin O'Neill, which I know we've spoken about, as our honorary president, and we've got an exciting event planned for February with him as a foundation fundraiser, alongside another new trustee, a gentleman by the name of Alan Parry, who a lot of football people will know his name. A lot more people will know his voice. So he was a former commentator for the BBC, one of the football voices of my childhood, alongside John Motson. So sitting with him in the room face to face is strange because his voice is so familiar, but you don't really kind of know him, hadn't really known until I'd met him what he looked like as a person. He's going to be part of that event, and I'm really excited about that, and that's going to be a great event for us. And then I've got a number of new staff who've come on board. We've just employed a female football development manager who's taken charge of our girls and women's provision, which is thriving and is really kicking on. And we're sort of strengthening our links with Wycombe Wanderers women, with the women's team. So that relationship is getting stronger, and hopefully we're going to have a kind of seamless pathway from our provision into the women's team, which is great. So yeah, we've been almost as busy as Mr. Bloomfield.
And it must be around sort of 12 months of your own anniversary in the role as well.
I did indeed. My anniversary was a matter of weeks ago, and honestly, a year's just absolutely flown past, come and gone in an instant. But it's been a good year. But I think in some ways the second year is harder, because the first year, there are some easy wins and some quick changes that you can try to make to try to get people on side, and then now it's about maintaining and kicking on when there's maybe a level of comfort now amongst the organisation with the new leadership. So yeah, I had a good CPD session with my guys at the start of the season, and just almost right, we're 0-0. We start again. We've had a great year. We pop it in the bank and let's go again. So we're very ambitious as a foundation. The relationship with the club is fantastic, which, as you can see on the pitch, the club is ambitious. So if the club is driving on and kicking on and performing on the pitch, we've got to do the same.
And I guess you probably don't get a chance to reflect, but do you feel really pleased with what you've achieved in, you've changed obviously the name and the branding, and I think more people know about what the foundation does and how it can really benefit people in the community?
Yeah, look, I'd like to think so. I think I've told you a few times. I was told we were the best kept secret in Bucks, which, as a charity trying to help people, and obviously our presence and people knowing about us is really important. So that label I didn't really like. Now, look, I can't take the credit for that. It's been absolutely a team effort across all of the foundation staff and with some of the key figureheads at the club who I work closely with. I think we have spread the word, and we just want to keep that going.
Which leads us quite nicely on to sort of a bit of a special day on the 11th of November.
Yeah, look, I mean, an outstanding example of some of the things I've just talked about there in terms of, the club relationship, etc., and our aspirations to grow what we're doing, the club came to us with an idea for a foundation day. So a fixture takeover, if you like, but we're not taking over the fixture, but it is going to be foundation day and an opportunity for us to kind of continue that awareness raising of the foundation and what we do and how we do it and who's involved, and lots of our participants are going to be here on the day, so an opportunity for them to hopefully wave to the crowd and for the crowd to kind of see the volume of different community groups that we're out there trying to support and help, and try to increase our kind of engagement with the fan base. We want people to get involved, we want people to support the foundation or reach out if they're in need of help and support, because we're fortunate that there aren't really any restrictions in terms of what we can do. If there's a community group that needs help, we're in a position to help them, and football's a powerful engagement tool, as you know. But it's not just football what we do. There's lots of things we do that aren't football.
I was going to say that there seems to be almost too many things to talk about, but you've got, just looking, for example, at the moment, you've got these October soccer schools, which I see there are some limited places for, and that's kind of must feel a bit like sort of your bread and butter. But as you say, there are so many things that perhaps people aren't aware that you're involved in. Yeah,
I mean, we operate in so many different settings. We had the Warm Hub, it's for over 65. That was last year. We have a project with Aylesbury Prison that runs on a Friday. I've been to visit that programme myself, which again is fantastic. We've got really young children having their first experience with football with our sports participation team. So from sort of 3-4 years old up to sort of gifted and talented players who are aspiring to maybe even have a career in the game. Yeah, it's a real wide range of groups that we work with. So I'm sure I'm missing some off there, but yes, it's an exciting season ahead for sure.
I think something that really stands out as well that I was lucky enough to sort of see firsthand was the skateboarding that was at Millbrook School as well. That was really not least seeing Sam Vokes on a skateboard, but obviously the youngsters who were involved and got so much out of it as well.
Yeah, look, that's a refugee skateboarding programme. Again, you don't associate that with Wycombe Wanderers Football Club, do you? But we are delivering that. We work in partnership with the Skateboard Academy. And yeah, that programme made Sky Sports News last year on Week of Action, which is actually upcoming for us again soon. So that's an EFL initiative that's kind of mandated across the Football League, where all the professional clubs kind of showcase what they're doing in the community, and it's a real central focus for the whole network that week. And that was one of our programmes that got picked up for coverage last year. It was, I think, maybe my second month, and I had one of the star players from the first team on a skateboard and was kind of like, if he falls off and gets injured, I might only last 2 months. But fortunately, he didn't get injured, and it was really great. And part of why we actually awarded Sam Vokes our Community Player of the Year award a couple of weeks ago at the Carlisle game. So Sam, like I said, refugee skateboarding. So we had Skateboard Sam, we had Coach Sam. He's been down coaching our EDA program, and we're supporting him with his coaching license. And you might remember Fireman Sam as well, who was out with the Fire Brigade, thanking them for their support last year. So I think he was a fitting benefactor of that award this year, and it was nice to present that to him before the Carlisle game. And by the way, he had a belting game after. I think he scored, and he was definitely my man of the match that day. So we might mock up another award for a couple of weeks' time. No, definitely. And you mentioned the Warm Hub. Obviously, that must be something that you were so proud of as well, because just how pleased people were to be involved in it. Yeah, absolutely. Look, we were delighted with that initiative last year. Really pleased to be able to kind of reach out to, again, like non-football people. You were there, I was there. Most of the people there, weren't Wycombe fans, weren't necessarily football fans, hadn't been to a football stadium before, but their first experience of that was to come for a social space where they were getting a free meal cooked by the club chef. They were meeting new people, having a great time for sort of 3 hours, 2 times a week, all kind of geared towards tackling that cost of living crisis that we know is real. So look, we're close to securing funding for that again. So I hope that we'll be able to announce that fairly soon, because obviously these programs cost money, so you have to reach out to funders and backers and people willing to support them. So yeah, obviously we've got proof of concept now, because we did it last year and it was a great success. So that makes that process of trying to secure funding that little bit easier because you can evidence the need and the benefit. So yeah, we're hoping to do that again and make it even bigger and even better.
It's so fantastic how many different sort of sections, if you like, of the community you can help, whether it's, the older generation or, I think the walking football program is fantastic, and, just even sort of social or, just mental health support, obviously, which is really big as well. And, I know you've got the facilities at Adams Park as well for those who perhaps, want a quieter space to come and watch the game. It really does cater for all supporters. And as you say, perhaps people who aren't even, come across football before.
Yeah, I always come off these conversations kind of going, I forgot that one, or I should have said that one, because we generally do so many different types of provision, and they're all important. Obviously football's a key vehicle, and we're really proud of our sports participation program and our kind of pathway for people's first experience in football up to, like I said, some talented players that train with us sort of regularly during the week. But we're equally proud of all of those other initiatives across our other two departments, which are our education department, education and employability, and health and inclusion. And that's sort of broken into health and wellbeing and inclusion and cohesion. So we've got 4 strategic aims. And we're really proud of all the provision that we do across all of those 4.
And is there anything you can tell us that you've got coming up in the coming weeks or in terms of sort of initiatives?
Yes, well, Foundation Day, the big one that you mentioned. So there's a lot of planning going into that. At the moment, we've actually been developing an educational product with the football club, driven by the football club, but with our supporters. Obviously, we do a lot of work with local schools. That's going to be exposed to a select group of school principals on the 24th of this month against Bolton. So we've invited some local principals to come and see that. We're really excited about that. We think that's going to explode and could go across all the schools in the local community, which is great, with some fantastic support from the players. We had some fun with the players this week for another product which we're going to be producing for Foundation Day. So I can't tell you any more about that because it's top secret, but I can tell you it's really cool, very nostalgic. It's something I remember doing at school. But that's all I'm going to say. So that should hopefully be for sale on the 11th of November, and that'll be raising funds for the foundation, which obviously just goes back into the community. Yeah, and the event with Martin O'Neill. So I'm hoping to announce that this side of Christmas. I think that's going to be the hottest ticket in town, and the lineup is not full as yet. So I'm still working on that one. But that's as a charity kind of fundraising is a key part of what we do. So we're kind of, I guess we've picked that back up. I think it hasn't been a focus for the last couple of years. That was, we were affected by COVID as everyone was, but we're now really back focused on raising funds for the foundation ourselves for our own programs, and Martin's come on board to help us do that. So yeah, look out for that event, and then another one towards the end of the season.
So just ahead of the Foundation Day itself, what do you hope the main message that both supporters and perhaps first time watchers, if that's the right word, take away from what the foundation is and what you do?
Look, I think the key thing for us on that day is raising awareness and educating people on the foundation. Like you've said earlier, hopefully our word is spreading and there are more people knowing about the foundation and what we're doing. But there's definitely still some, and probably some within the fan base, that don't know that much. So that day is really going to be an opportunity for us to expose to the fans what we do, why we do it, and how we do it.
So where can we find out more?
You can find out more at our website, which is wycombewanderersfoundation.co.uk, or on our social media platforms, and that's at WWFDN.
Brilliant to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Colin.
A pleasure to have Mark Gaitskell on the show, of course, as always, Chief Executive of the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation. As he said, do keep an eye out for some of their events, including, hopefully, news of the return of the Warm Hub and a brilliant event featuring Martin O'Neill, their new honorary president, which is set to come in the new year. As Mark said, there should be an announcement on that before Christmas. Sounds very, very exciting indeed. I don't know too much about it, but it does sound very, very exciting. You can tell, can't you? Finally, for this week, we'll cast our attention to Wycombe Wanderers women. They've had a good win in the Cup, the Women's FA Cup. They're putting together a decent run in the league as well. And Emily McCartney, who's a defender, made her debut last season, becoming more and more established in this first team, having worked her way up from the under-18s as well. Only 18 herself, and as you'll hear, is rather enjoying life in with the first team.
Honestly, yeah. Like, I mean, everyone's just so nice. Like, no one, they always like pass the ball to you and everything. It doesn't feel like there's any divide or anything.
Have you noticed much of a difference? Or is it quite similar to playing like, in the under-18s or in the under-23s or?
There's definitely a step up in like just like especially like the teams you play against. I know you can just see there's a bit of like a difference.
And have you noticed your own progression as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. Honestly, like I don't know, just like the defending principles. Like the Carl goes on about like pressure cover balance, and like I just feel gotten so much better at that.
That must be so rewarding as well for you to kind of notice your own sort of development and how, as you say, how you've kind of fitted into the team.
Yeah. I mean, just like looking at my performance, like thinking back on it, like last season to now, I feel definitely improved.
And are there particular matches or moments in matches that really stand out and you thought, oh yeah, that was a real good test for me, or I did really well there?
I mean, definitely the like 2 weeks ago, the match against Ascot, the FA Cup. I was in a good headspace that game. I felt it was really good and nice to beat Ascot.
I was going to say really nice for you as well because you come up against Ascot in the league and perhaps didn't do so well and they were sort of flying, I guess, but to sort of face them in the cup and to win must have been a fantastic feeling for all of you.
Oh my goodness, it was amazing. Like the changing rooms it was such good energy.
And to be a defender as well, obviously, get all the glory scoring the goals, but to prevent goals as well must be equally rewarding.
Yeah, I think that's definitely my favorite part of football, like in a match, making those big tackles and stuff. Yeah, it's really good.
Does it feel like last season was a real sort of season of transition, especially for the first team, and now you're kind of established and everyone kind of knows their roles, I guess, and what's needed?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've had lots of new players and people in new positions, but I feel we're finally starting, we're getting wins. It's like we're really starting to work as a team.
And what really comes across as well is that you've had a number of new signings throughout the close season, and they've kind of really settled in and gelled and feel part of the group already as well.
Oh yeah. Everyone that's come in has played so well, and again, it feels like a team that we've been together for longer than we have.
And does it feel for you as well like a really good time to be involved in obviously Wycombe Wanderers women, but also just women's football generally, especially after the World Cup and the Euros, obviously before that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I just love playing football and like seeing like all the wee girls do their game before a match, like the little training session on the pitch. It's just amazing, seeing everyone get involved in a sport that I just really enjoy.
And what's been your own kind of football journey, if that's the right expression? Is that something you kind of picked up from a really early age, or you just kind of got into it, or?
Honestly, it was pure chance I got into football. In my junior school, they just started off a girls' team and they had no players. And I just enjoyed sports, so I was like, sure. And then, I don't know, one thing led to another and I'm playing at Wycombe.
And what was it like finding your position? Because I guess people, they kind of perhaps set out with, I'd like to be a striker or I'd like to be a goalkeeper. But it must be strange how perhaps initially you didn't have an initial kind of position in mind that you thought you best suited to, and perhaps it found you.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot shoot to save my life, so defender. And I don't know, I've never been good at like all the wee step overs and stuff like that. So I think just being like solid defending, tackling, passing, it just really fitted me.
So you couldn't see yourself changing. We spoke to Amy last week. She used to be a centre back and is now centre forward.
Yeah, no, I don't think I could do what Amy did. I mean, I'd give striker a go, but like, I don't know. There's just something about defending. I guess it's the only position I've ever really been, but I don't know. I really enjoy it.
And really fantastic for you to get the win on Sunday as well, and again another clean sheet too.
Oh, it's amazing we're getting the wins now. I feel like the team's really worked for it as well. Been to training, we've put in the time. It's nice something's coming out of it.
And do you set yourself kind of personal goals or things you'd like to achieve for or with the team as well?
Not in like the long run, but like each match I tend to set myself a goal. It just helps me like play better, like I'll try and do more pass backs to the keeper or do more long balls that match,
No, absolutely. And do you kind of approach games differently depending on who the opposition is, or obviously I guess you kind of do your research on them, but especially with cup games, because it'd be nice to have a good cup run, wouldn't it?
Yeah, oh my goodness, yeah, that's the dream. I don't know. I can worry about games a bit sometimes, like then you get in your own head about it and you play worse. So I try not to think about if the teams we're playing against are like particularly known for being good. I just kind of, go in and treat it as just another football team, to be honest.
Do you anticipate that the teams you'll be coming up against this season, it will be particularly tough, or do you think that because, as you say, it's quite an established team that you're in now, you can literally sort of, you're confident that you can take on any comers?
Honestly, I really believe Wycombe is like, I mean, if we play like, you have good games and bad games, but like us on a good game, I feel we could take on pretty much anyone.
And are you aware of the increase in interest in women's football, but specifically, I guess, Wycombe Wanderers women, because, I know that you've had sort of the Brownies come and watch you, and, I know that like young girls come along and say, oh, I'd like to be able to do that in training, what they see you do, for example.
Oh, yeah, it's actually so sweet. It's amazing, really. Like, I've definitely noticed just women's sports in general. I'm seeing it a lot more on social media, and having the Brownies come, it's just amazing remembering being that age. Like if I saw like people, like more women playing football, I think I would have gotten into it a lot earlier.
Because I guess you probably don't think of it yourself as well, but to be someone who's 18 and playing in the first team as well, that must be quite a sort of a real sense of achievement for you, and for other youngsters to kind of look up to what you've done and think, oh, maybe I could do something similar myself.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I could just say to them, like, you can absolutely do it. Like, I didn't, I'm just another person, I haven't done anything special to be here. Like, just go to training and you really can do anything.
It's a great advert, isn't it? That sort of the hard work, you put in the hard work and you can achieve stuff. Yeah,
that's really all there is to it, just hard work.
And have you noticed as well an increase in support this season? Because I know the 1887 came along to your home game, didn't you? And I understand your father is particularly vocal at games as well.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a name for himself, being loud on the sidelines. It's great though. I love to hear it.
I was going to say it must be a real boost to have that sort of family support, but also just to to have any kind of support and people knowing that people are behind you.
Yeah. Oh no, it's amazing. Like, I think there's definitely noticed an increase of like the crowds that come to home games and everything. It's really awesome.
It must feel like you're on a real wave at the moment as well, with in form and some great results and being unbeaten as well, and not conceding too many either.
Yeah. I mean, let's keep winning. Let's keep the clean sheets going. No,
that's fantastic. It's been brilliant to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to chat to Emily from Wycombe Wanderers Women. We'll have more from them, obviously, throughout the coming weeks on the show. Very much enjoying following their progress, both in the league and currently in the Cup as well. Hopefully that continues too. We'll speak to more of their players and coaching staff, and Craig as well, who looks after the media. You might have seen them on social media as well. Bobby Lynch, the current captain, scored a fantastic goal. You might have seen, again, on social media very recently. Hope you've enjoyed the show this week. It's been brilliant to reflect on Tuesday night's victory in the EFL Trophy, and obviously recognise the brilliant achievement of TJ DeBar and Jolo playing against each other for Gibraltar and Wales, got it right around this time, in an international. A brilliant advert for the club. As Phil mentioned, Matt Bloomfield has been nominated for the Manager of the Month. That'll be announced tomorrow, or if you're listening on the podcast, that was announced on Friday morning. We keep our fingers crossed for that. Congratulations, commiserations, depending on when you're listening. And also looking forward to next week's game as well. Thank you so much for listening, and look forward to being with you again next week. Up the Wick.